C1. You are listening at FameTV.info. The cool breeze of summer was warm, and on top of the tall mountains, it was refreshing and pleasant. Lin Xuecha placed the wooden barrel in his hand outside the house. She looked at her palm, which was covered in red marks. She frowned slightly as she pushed open the wooden door, available. She'd only taken a few steps when her cold eyes narrowed. In this world, the only person other than the assassin who was most familiar with the smell of blood was the doctor. Unfortunately, however, she belonged to both. In this room, only she and the servant Ting Zhu lived there. Ting Zhu had just left for home the day before yesterday to visit her father. At the moment, there was no way to return to the monastery. In that case, there was only, the thought just finished spinning in his head, and Lin Xuecha's eyes turned cold. She suddenly spun around, and a silver needle in her sleeve shot out, striking the curtain in front of her eyes. However, just as the silver needle in her hand left her hand, a person flashed and quickly circled in front of her back. Before she could even react, her right hand moved backwards and precisely grabbed her neck. Lin Xuecha squinted his eyes. What a fast skill! It was just a simple exchange, but he could already tell that this person's martial arts must be extraordinary. However, this person was also severely injured. His breathing had been forcefully suppressed to a uniform extent, and he had deliberately kept it under control. Even the hand that was at her throat was clamped tightly together, and a rich smell of blood permeated the tip of his nose. The masked man behind her suddenly spoke in a low voice. His voice was as cold as the frost. I don't want to kill anyone. So need her cooperation. Lin Xuecha secretly touched the silver needles in his sleeve, and said with a trembling voice as much as possible, I also don't want to die, I hope Hero can. Before she could finish, she felt a choking sensation in her throat. Lin Xuecha found it hard to breathe. I don't want to kill anyone. The man behind her repeated these words in a neither light nor heavy manner. His voice was so cold that it could freeze into ice. This time, Lin Xuecha finally understood the true meaning of these 5 words. He was warning her not to make any small moves. At this moment, the sound of footsteps came from outside the house. Lin Xuecha understood that there was more than one person outside. Presumably, the person behind her also heard it. Before he could make a move, Lin Xuecha had decisively given up on the silver needles in his sleeves. She raised her hand and took his big hand in hers to reduce the difficulty in pronunciation. I will help you. Let me go first. The man behind her seemed to be stunned, but he didn't react. Lin Xuecha thought that Yun Che did not believe him and said again. You have to trust me. Only I can help you now. The sounds of footsteps outside the house came closer and closer. The man didn't hesitate. He asked calmly, what are you going to do? To the couch. Finally, she added, quick. When the door was pushed open, Lin Xuecha was already lying on the bed. That man was lying beside her. At some point, he had taken a silver needle from her sleeve and placed it against her neck. It was a scorching summer day, and the bed was covered by 2 people. Inside the bed, the temperature was exceptionally high. Lin Xuecha's hands and feet were being held down by him. He held a silver needle in one hand and had the other wrapped around Lin Xuecha's waist. With his head under the bed, he leaned on her shoulder. The bed was small, and he was tall, though thin. The only way for the 2 to not be discovered was for them to stick together. By then, someone had already entered the house. Someone's face turned cold as he suddenly said, there's a strong smell of blood in this room. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.